This is sometimes I have to be careful with this, and of course, those that have put on a uniform and been trained how to use a gun or any kind of weapon, whatever it is, I would have to go back to when I was 6 years of age, reading through my father's aeronautical manuals, right? On and of course, you could see this through all of their companies that I became familiar with, from EG&G, Raytheon, right? Lockheed, Boeing, Grumman, Northrop, and they're all. You can list them all, right? I don't look necessarily at the names. Okay, it's their consciousness, energy, their mind's energy. Okay. So when you're thinking of their mind's energy, the first question that arises is, does that mind have a soul? And if it does, then why would it go to war against God? If it experiences God in its own heart and soul, right? Because the manner in which they've used their energy, just like when I was 5 years of age, my father put me in a military academy. They're teaching me, programming me to learn how to be a killer. Now, it's not like there are not other skills that you can learn that can be what we call cross-translated. There's an old book that was called Pack Your Own Parachute. There's a reason why in smoke jumper school in Missoula, Montana, it used to be, I don't know what it's like now, you packed your own parachute. And why is that? Fear. Why fear? Because if it doesn't work right, the only person that you have to account for what you experience as a result of packing that parachute, you will experience. If you packed it right, because you already see yourself on the ground having packed it the way in which it's going to bring you there, then that's a consciousness transport system in which you're using a parachute like a parachute bomb with the Allied forces, mankind, right? To get on the ground, to ground yourself. Now your bare feet are grounded back into mama's battery with a single pole. Okay, which goes on forever, gifting electrons. So here I am watching a short little clip with Dr. Greer, bless your heart, Dr. Greer, for a lot of the messages that you have put out there to expose these folks of all the lies, all the manipulation, all the mistrust, because that's how it works. Because what I just watched is a perfect example, okay, of a guy that wears a military uniform. Apparently, according to Dr. Greer, this is some guy who's a general in charge of the U.S. Army Special Forces. Okay? And after this guy realized what it was that Dr. Greer had learned, Dr. Greer said that he was offered $2 billion to go to work for his team. Okay? My internal response is that, well, I'll just tell you the truth. That's pathetic. So for a guy to be that high up with his stars and bars, because that's what they are, they're trophy hunters. They love the ribbons that they wear on their uniforms. They love their patches, their symbols that represents X. Because you look at them and that's a male, right? With a penis dragons, right? Now you're talking about inverted triangle, inverted consciousness, right? So in other words, he's not working on behalf of a god, okay? He's working on behalf of artificial intelligence. That's his god, okay? He serves his master well because his uniform represents war. In his mind, he's justifying why he's going to war against God using technology. Okay? So when I realize that somebody, for example, comes to me and says, listen, I'm willing to offer all this stuff to you that's represented by the material side, which is the resource side, which would be all your diamonds, your emeralds, your sapphires, your gold, and your silver. Okay? Once you become one, a monopole, you realize I already got everything I need because I don't need what you are, which is represented by what you are, which is the matter side, okay, which is the density side, And what that means is that there isn't any amount of money in the world that is ever going to buy you what you're willing to give away to me that's ever going to allow you to experience what I do. That means he's an inverter. That's right. Because how else, where did he get all this $2 billion at that he's willing to give away? Us. Okay. So now you get into trust issues, and it's one of the reasons why, and I take my hat off to everybody that believed in their own mind that they're going to war on behalf of a God that they believe in. War gods. That's not what love is it? Because I try and use basic common sense. Whatever you are in consciousness and energy, because I can go back to when I was 4 years of age, I was experiencing what love is to mind, heart, and soul. So I know I got a soul, and I got a spirit that is leading me, which is what love is, which is what the light is, that's guiding me on my pathway. There's your pathway, and there's my pathway. And so what you begin to realize is the pathways that people are choosing. So I become aware of what I've become aware of, which is what love is that goes on forever. Now I become aware of what you do with your energy. Bribing people. Does that sound familiar? Like maybe in The Godfather, protection rackets? They're racketeers. So you had what was this? A double Medal of Honor winner. What was his name? I forget that. He was a general in the United States Marine Corps back during the World War I period. What was his name? I can't remember. You can look it up. This guy won not only one Congressional Medal of Honor, he won 2. And he told everybody, war is a racket. So these folks are racketeers. They're galactic pirates. Okay? Which means it's more important to them to present themselves, right, on the inverter side of the equation. I got all this money. I'm willing to give you $2 billion. Money will never buy you happiness, will it? Because if you need money in order to experience love in your heart, you're not experiencing love in your heart, because love in your heart is free energy. Unconditional love is a state of being in which you're experiencing love through your own heart. And when you're experiencing love through your own heart, that's high energy. That's a state of spiritual being. That means it's not about money. So money becomes the trap. That's called a soul consciousness trap. To trap your energy with his energy. Because he's a war machine. That's right, a war machine. Not as in ma-chi, meaning mama's chi, mama's creation flowers. No. It's machine code. Artificial intelligence code. Running all the algorithms. Cyborgs. Okay. Weaponized cyborgs. Just like in Star Wars, right? So I've known since I was 4 years of age, anytime that your state of consciousness, which is represented by energy, in which you're using your energy in which to experience war, then you're experiencing war in your own mirror, which means you're experiencing war against God, the God vibration. God speed vibration, which is defined as a male, because of what I am, which is a mated chip, which is a single pole, which means I don't play that game. Because it's totally unnecessary. So when you're the one pole, there is no war. There's only what love is that goes on forever, gifting electrons. So in order for this guy who is playing a character, because that's what it is, it's called a character map. Mapping a system, mapping a GUI system, a graphical user information in which the math is supposed to work. to maintain balance of your consciousness, which is balance in your mind. And if you're using your energy, right, that is accumulated off of others in order to cut deals with others, to get their mind with your mind, that's groupthink. Now that mind is in there. That's what they do. They want to recruit highly intelligent people that are very aware. See? To come into their fold. Folding space and time. Which is no different than wanting to be a part of the Vatican Babylonian priesthood, which are your corporate military umbrella stands. See, one of the things that I knew as a child is you can't have it both ways. You got to know one from the other. You can't experience being what love is and living spirit that is in that light, integrated with the soul, and experience war at the same moment. Because the speed at which running pure eternal light, which is your spirit that is in that light, integrated with a monopole, is experiencing eternal unconditional love. Which means there is no time. There's only what love is. They don't experience that. And the reason they don't experience that is because that being, whoever that general is with the U.S. Special Forces, has refused to surrender itself. Itself. Information technology self. To the one. In order to experience being one with all creation. Now it's experiencing what love is. Now when it's experiencing what love is, now the keys, which are the doors to perception, open to higher and higher dimensions, if you will, or densities that it has the ability to experience because it's chosen to surrender its X to be with Y, which is the cold fusion and hot fission to become one with all creation. That's 3. H2 plus 1 equals 3, which is 21. 3 / into 21 is 7, which is a 7 rainbow, which is the color charts. And now you begin to understand how the monatomic gold side of this, with me as a single pole, works with rainbows. All the colors that are available to you when you go cosmic level spirit. Lighting yourself on fire because that's what it began with. The hottest engine of creation. They don't experience that. So what happens is that eventually, as one of these posts that I saw come back my first Facebook page, is that how did he put this identity put it? It's like coming full circle. Just like the little video I saw last night about what it means to come full circle. A full circle of light is the completion of a circuit. A circuit board, like a motherboard. Right? So you're a motherboard operator. Operating a motherboard. Are your circuits clear of all the trauma as a result of having a relationship with those that go to war against the one, which is the law of one? So when you're going against a war against God's speed, vibration, being what love is, then you keep losing energy. You keep fracturing and fracturing your mirror. Then you're going to need a new soul. Huh? So whatever you were that you began with as a soul keeps getting fractured and fractured and fractured and fractured as a result of what? Going to war against the law of one. Love is the law. It's not negotiable. It's not an either or proposition. You either are what love is or you're not experiencing what love is. And if you're not experiencing what love is, how come? That was my first question when I was a child. So you can imagine my reaction when I'm seeing Dr. Greer. You can see, and of course, I don't know the truth of this, only he can tell you for himself whether or not he, the future of what came out of that later become what he was going to experience in the future. Because you know how they are. You know? If they perceive you as having a lot of value, right? You know how it is. Hey, you want to take $100? I got to find a way to get this guy into my fold, into my gang. This guy's really valuable. I don't want him on the other side. I want him on our side. We get this guy on our side. Ooh, man. What an asset, huh? Yeah, recruit this guy into your army. We'll put him into intelligence services working for the NSA, for the Nazis. Oh, man. How much money can we throw at him? Well, look at his past behavior. We got a record on this guy. We've been tracking this little child, this little girl, since 3 years of age. Right? Monarch program, right? Yeah, MK Ultra, all that stuff. You know, look at where he's been. This guy's been riding on buses, riding on trains. He hasn't been able to do all the things that he could have done. We could have given him a free pass to jump on an airplane and fly to Thailand, throw as many girls his way as he could possibly want. Let's give it all to him and realize, wow, look at what all this money will buy you, buddy boy. But here's the trick that comes with the treat, which is the sugar, which is the acid. And that's called Judgment Day. Terminators, Rise of the Machines, Judgment Day. Because what happens is, and I know this from experience, and I knew this as a child. Have you ever heard of a word called reckoning? The day of reckoning? Because when you're experiencing temporal space and you realize that everything is temporary, it's like a temporary fix, right? Anybody that's ever used drugs or alcohol in which to kill pain, and we know that that doesn't work, does it? In other words, the trauma doesn't disappear. Now we're back to love. Now we're back to healing. Now we're back to opening up all the cosmic level circuits of a motherboard on a planetary level, right? So you realize that, oh, wow, I got all this money. I'm willing to do business with you. Now my energy is being used with what? A criminal organization, right? A criminal mind. A criminal mind is a war mind. That's a war machine. Going to war against creation itself because it began with what love is. So when you're experiencing what war is, you're at war with the one in your own mind. That's right. Lack of fire as a result of loss of light. Because they put money and resources, planetary and galactic resources. Ooh, look at all the booty I got, man. It's temporary, isn't it? And that's finite light. That means that they have a limited shelf life. Because of learning. Lack of learning, which is lack of light, which is lack of learning through the light, which is lack of learning through the light, which is the spirit that is in that light, which is the teacher or the soul. So when you're eternally blessed as a 4-year-old child to know, I don't play that game. I'm not an AI wargamer. Because that's what they use to game. The mind's energy to draw the mind into the game. To play AI war games against stars. Okay? And that results in what? Broken templates. Broken arrows are broken templates. Broken arrows are broken motherboards. Broken motherboards are fallen spiritual systems. So you have to decide what you put one before the other. Put one before the other. That's why the law of one is to know one from the other. Dr. Greer seems to know the difference between the one and the other. And that general that worked in intelligence services for the Army with all of his trophies and badges and insignia and say, look at me. I'm a tough warrior. I've been in all these battles using kinetic energy and all the weapons that are at my disposal, including artificial intelligence. I'm a warrior. No, you're not, buddy. As much as I hate to tell you this, and I don't normally use the word hate, that starts with an H, which is hydrogen. You're at war against yourself.